Okay, we're back. It's COMP397, and it's week 5, lesson 5, part 3, and we've just been talking about this this build for the slot machine, and we've gotten to the point where we've got this piece here in Fireworks. Again, you can use your favorite program to do this, right? So to get to this piece, right? As soon as I'm done, like I said, we'll upload it. So if you don't do this, or if you don't have time, the skill, the inclination, whatever, it's okay. Now what I need to do is, I like this, right? These buttons. I've got some red buttons. I've got one green button, right? So I got to plan this out. So one of them is going to be kind of a bet button, and one of them is going to be a bet max button, and the other one's going to be some other kind of buttons here, right? I could also put the reset button maybe somewhere on the top or somewhere else. I could also put the the power button in here just to qualify with what the things I need. Again, you can choose your own graphic or make your own graphic or expand your own graphic to make sense for you. Let's do that. So let's kind of copy these buttons out. I'm just going to scroll in here just to see what the buttons would look like. So this is what a typical button is looking like right now, right? And just to keep with the same look and feel of this button, I'm going to get one. I'm going to cut it out, and I'm going to use this where I can overlay it on top of what I got here. So again, this is a very simple way of doing things. There's so many different ways of doing the same thing. So I'm going to kind of grab this piece here. All right, so here's my red button, and most of them are red buttons. And I'm a little off, but don't worry, I'm going to fix that in a second. So I'm going to kind of copy. I'm going to go back into Fireworks and click New, right? And if you notice, it's 51 by 51, almost where I want it to be. I'm going to zoom in here so we can kind of the canvas up here, and Control V to paste. All right, so there's my button. Again, it's not the best specimen. I could have got a better one. So I'm going to zoom out here a little bit. Oops. Just want to get to the point where I'm good. Okay, good. Now in here is where I got the problem, right? So I got this little piece here I got to take care of, and I've also got a bit of more on the top that I can chop off compared to the bottom. Right? I think what I'd like to do, because you see it's kind of a rounded rectangle again for the outside, and it's white. I think what I want to do is I'm going to change this to kind of a dark gray all around, or some kind of black that I put all around the outside. All right, so let's do that first. So I'm going to kind of zoom out here. And I'm going to place these buttons back in place, right, to see how they look later. And then what we're going to use, we're going to use the same buttons. We're going to put kind of information in here for bet and bet max and all that kind of stuff. Okay, let's get back in here and do that. So how do I do this? I'm going to kind of get my crop tool first. I'm going to crop it as close as I can. So let's get to the white space here. Just cropping it up. And I've got my crop tool going, so I've cropped the button as close as I can get it. And maybe this part is, yeah. Trying to see how much space I've got compared to the left side here. It's just the way it's been drawn. So just like double click there to get as close. Okay, now I'm going to draw this rounded rectangle again. If you notice, I already still have it selected from the last time that we were doing this. And instead of a black, maybe we'll do a dark gray this time. So I'm going to kind of choose a darker gray color. So it's not quite black. And then I'm going to choose the top left corner. And press Shift. I'm going to choose the bottom right corner here, and I may need to bring this up just a tad, or just in a bit, just to make it even. All right, I don't want any kind of background, so I'm going to kind of kill the background. So I want the red, and now I want to go into the square just to make sure that it's rounded as much as the outside as possible here. And if I don't like this the way it looks, which looks like to me I'm not liking it too much, right? Let's reduce that size to 1. I got a bit of, I think I need some more chopping. I think I have more chopping to do, Lucy. I'm not liking this at all. So let's just kill that piece and do it again. This time I think what I'm going to kill the background image, right, altogether, and clean this up. Make it transparent like, I think it might be the better way to go. So let's get in there and really take away some of this effect by going and just killing this button altogether. This is the area that I'm going to draw anyway. And now I've got some stuff I've got to clean up on the right side and the left side. So I'm going to go in here. And just on the top left corner, I'm going to go in with an eraser tool. And 1 pixel by 1 pixel. And just kill some of these white areas here, just so I can take away some of this area. So I'm really getting into the pixel by pixel thing. I try and avoid doing, pixel deletions and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of tools that can do it automatically for you, but sometimes you have no choice. And it's not like that bad. It's not like a lot of pixels I got to delete. All right, so you got the kind of a button. It's a red button. And now this is my generic red button. So I'm going to save this generic red button, right? Here's my generic red button. I'm going to save this, and then I can layer text on top of it. So now, right now, we're looking at 46 by 46. That's pretty small. Maybe what I want to do is bring it up just a tad, right, to 64 by 64, right? So I'm going to kind of, make sure these are proportional, and I'm going to go into my, my scaling, and I'm going to scale this up to 64. I can do it by hand like this, or I can just press in a number. So I can kind of go in here and go 64 by 64. So there it is. I'm going to modify the button. And I'm going to fit the canvas so it encompasses my whole button a little bit bigger. Now I'm making it 64 by 64 for a reason. One is from a mobile perspective. If I ever want to go mobile with this app, it's too small to go 50 by 50. It's a little bit too small for your finger. Your finger is anywhere larger than 60 is good. You want to go towards 80, right? 80 by 80. That's probably a good size for your fingertip, right? Now if I was to look at this thing, and let's just copy it and go back to my original background and paste it. Let's see how it works with my larger size. It may not, right? So kind of put it in here. And let's see how this button, I'm using it so I can test it to see what it looks like proportional with my my background. And that might be okay, but it might be, I may have to go a little bit smaller than 64 by 64, right? And again, all I'm doing is hiding the other button. So I kind of go in here, and then I'd paste this thing on top, right? And this would be the approximate place where the button would go, right? And then I would change my other buttons. Let's just do a copy and paste. I like to experiment like this. This is before I do one piece of code, right? Okay, so why do you think it's important for me to do that? Why am I placing my buttons and building my UI before I do any of this stuff? It's almost, think about it as a mock-up. Why would I do it here? Any idea? Oh, well, I know you guys probably have an idea, but Fahim, what do you think? Why am I placing my buttons and doing all this work? What for? I want to access it for sure. Well, what's the other reason? Why am I doing it here in a graphics program and not in code? I can't modify my image, number one. Two, I want to test it. I want to prototype it here. That's what I'm doing. I'm prototyping my UI. It doesn't matter whether you're doing 2D stuff here with the web, or if you're using stuff on Unity or some other more advanced system. You need to do a little bit of prototyping or prepping in order for you to know what it's going to look like, right? Okay, let's do another button. Because sometimes, like as you can see, this red button may not be right for what I want, this size. I'm going to see how many buttons I can layer here. Now let's see that there's an issue already, right? So let's just go here and do it. Again, I mean, some people might say, well, I don't see an issue, Tom. There's a bunch of buttons. No, it's slightly too big. Like I would say, I can probably go down, even if it's 60. I'll try 60 first, and then we'll try and do that first. Let's undo these changes here. Get rid of the buttons. Right? Go back to here, and then go back, scale this back to about 60. So I'm going to bring this up here for a second. Instead of 64, we'll go to 60. Might be giving me a little bit more, a few more pixels there that I can work with on the side. So it's not quite where I want it to be, but I think it's going to be better. I'm going to go modify canvas. I'm going to trim my canvas here. So there it is. All right, so now let's try this out again. I'm going to go back to my background and check it and see how it looks, if that's a little better. I think that is a little better, right? And the good thing is I get a little bit of more margin between around my stuff that I got here, so it might look okay. Let's put a series of these things. So I'm going to copy, paste, right? So I'm just going to put a bunch of them in there. and just give the same amount of margin between them all. I don't care about the background. I'll fix that background up in a bit. And let's see, another one. Oops. Let's put that over here. So put another one here. Once I got all these guys, don't worry, I'll give them all to you. But I'm showing you the process. This is the most important piece. The process, to me, process is more important a lot of times than the outcome, right? Because you can control your outcome a little bit more. So I see that there's probably some space where I can go a little bit to the right, to the left, and I think this might work. So how many buttons can I fit? I just have to balance them. But I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buttons. So I got my power. Sorry. I've got my spin button, one of these buttons. I'm going to change the color to, instead of red, it'll be some other color. So my spin button, right, would probably be on the right, this one here. I'm going to have my bet max as an example, and maybe I have some other amounts. Like, for example, I might have a 1, a 10, and a 50, right, one of those. Like, so a few buttons here, right? 1, 10, 50, and bet max. Okay, that's cool. I think that would work. So I think we've settled on that 60 is the right size. Let's get rid of these for a second now, and let's fix this background, because this background needs to be we need to clean it up a little bit. So we're going to do that's the next piece of our background. Again, I'm being systematic here. Might infuriate some of you guys when you look at it. You're like, oh, just get it done already, Tom. But I got to tell you how it's done, so that way you know how to do it on your own. Okay, so this piece here I'm going to replace. So let's do that with, again, I'm using the background as a skeleton. That's what I'm doing when I'm building this thing out. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to create my rounded corner thing again. And for the background, I'm going to make that, so I like that silver color that I've got here. So I'm going to try and clean up this silver color, or this gray color. That's what it looks like. So let's try and, I don't care about this separation. I'm going to kill this separation, because I just want to make one consistent look and feel, because, I want to keep it simple, right? You can get as complex here as you want. I can clean this up by chopping this piece up here and putting it up over here. In fact, maybe that's what we'll do, just to show you a different thing. So you guys are showing me doing these rectangles to clean it up. Let's do it a more difficult way. Why? Don't ask me why I'm deciding to do this, but let's try it out. Just because Steven's here. Steven, I can't disappoint him. You know how it is. Got to give him props, right? That's how it is, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here, because I want this two-tone look. But I want everything to have this two-tone look. So I'm going to go right up to this little side up here, right where it goes to the red. I'm going to grab this whole thing right to where it goes down to the bottom. This is the technique, right? And away from all these buttons. I'm going to take this piece now, and I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it. And the great thing is, once I've pasted it, I can move it aside, right? Let's try that again. I can move it aside. If I copy it, right? And if I paste it, right? Now I should be able to move it. Let's check this out here. If I bring it to the front, because this is in the back. Yeah, I'm not getting what I want here, but that's okay, because I know what to do. I just want to ruin what I've got. Yeah, there it is. So here's my first one. Let's take a look. Right? So to make it even, so there's some cheesy things I can do. Like, for example, I can bring this over here, take a look how it fixes things, right? Even to get rid of this stuff, right to the edge, there. And now what I can do is I can expand it. This is the cheap way of doing it. Watch. Oh yeah, you're gonna love this, right? So I keep the two-tone look, but I get rid of all the buttons. Now, is it perfect? Absolutely not. Right? Because it's stretching the image, right? But what it's doing is it's cleaning up my image so that I can hide some of the defects that I've got in my design. Okay, what do you think? So it's nice and smooth. So it kind of get rid of some of this. Let's zoom out to see what it looks like. That's what it looks like right now. And if I don't like it, remember, I can always go back. But to me, that looks pretty good. So I can probably go in there. I've got the two-tone look, so I don't just have a flat look to it. And again, what I would do right now is I'm going to Control A, set everything back, and then flatten my design. So that on the back end, what I get is just one bitmap, right? So I don't have to worry about multiple bitmaps layering on top of each other, all that kind of stuff. This is just the background. That's what I'm getting here, all right? Okay, let's do that. So I got my background. The good thing is I can measure it. I can measure how big the space is, and I can space out my buttons so they're equally spaced. Okay, and I can do the same thing for these things here. Right, we're going to show you that later on. But let's just do this next piece. All right, so here's this piece. How wide is it? First, I'm going to go Control A, right, and then I'm going to go right-click and flatten my selection. So then this is part of my whole bitmap. It's only one, and save. So my bitmap is this. That's what my bitmap is right now. Okay, good. So that's one piece. The other thing is that I have kind of a look and feel to this piece up here where I want to put a jackpot in there, like some kind of, you know, a little window that shows my jackpot, maybe even a button that kind of is a power button on top, and maybe a reset button on the side. So I'm trying to go with that design that I had. And again, I could clean this part up here, get rid of these hash marks if I want to. I really don't have time for that today, but I could. I can clean up everything slowly, step by step. With a little bit of cleanup, I can get rid of some of these things so it looks like, you know, the slot machine is a little bit cleaner. But I've got some of my design now. I've just got to get into creating those areas where my coins are going to be. All right, so let's do that. So this first thing is I want to get this, I want to create a look and feel of this piece. So I'm going to kind of create this, the square. I'm going to get a square one now. It's an actual rectangle tool, right? And then with my rectangle tool, for my borders, I think I want to make it so that it's black. I think maybe a black bordered kind of tool. Now I'll try and pull from the closest black that I got. It's near black. It's like a dark red. Okay. And what I want to do is the fill. Here's the fill. I don't want it to be white. I want it to be black. So I'm going to choose a black fill. And I also want to go with the thickness from my border. I got to be careful about black on black for a second. That might be too much. Let's go with lighter color. Might be too much. So let me go with this color. All right, let's try this out. And then we might do a secondary border or shadow or some other effect to create that effect. Okay. Also a border, we're probably going to need a border of about 4 or 5. Let's go 5 wide. And let's draw the box and see what we get. If it's no good, we can always do it again. So here, let's try this out. That kind of effect. What do you think? So that's kind of the look and feel that I want for it. Right, so that's where my images are going to be, but they're going to need bigger than this, right? And again, once I've got this converted and once I create it, I know how big my text is going to be. I'm aligning it so that it's perfect, right? So if this isn't big enough, I can always skew this result to make it bigger. So let's try make it a little bigger. And again, if I want to add in kind of a shadowy effect or whatever, or an additional thing, I could add in some effects, like some kind of additional glow. That's not what I want. Or some kind of additional borders, what I want. But let's just go back. Let's go normal for a second. So I could actually layer another image on the top of this one. But before I do this, I want to see how big this thing can be. So let's just add some text just to give me an idea of how this is going to be. And I'll make it so that it's you know, the numbers, right? So 0 as an example. And then we're going to use maybe a red text. Red letters, right? So I'm going to make the text red, like a truly red color. There we are. And we're also going to choose a font that's more old school, like something like a console type thing, like an old console type slot machine look. Maybe like a Consolus would be fine, just like we did before. So there's Consolus, right? So it looks like that. So that size, I've got about 26 pixel width height for this one. That's pretty darn big, 26 pixel height. But let me go to 100% to see what it would normally look like. So right now we're looking at this up close. This is up 200%. And at 100%, it looks like this. That's exactly what it's going to look like now, right? So I think that's pretty good from a height. 26 pixels might be the right amount. Let me just go in there and check it out. Again, I'm prototyping right now, so I'm kind of checking out to see the size of my font and my box, I'm going to need a bigger amount there. So if I type in, if I go with the type tool here and I kind of zoom in here, and let's say I type 5,000, right, or 50,000 or 100, 500,000, you should be able to fit 500,000 in there. So let's just go in there and take a look. That looks pretty good. So now let's take a look at my box. And what I'm doing is I'm stretching my box so that way, you know, it can fit 500,000, no problem, as the high score, right? That's the first thing. So my box has to be there. I think maybe a little bit taller, just to be able to do that. So that's a good size for my box. I do have a little bit of roundedness to it with 7. With a soft pixel, I can choose also a hard line, right, as opposed to a soft line if I wanted to. That might be a little bit too hard. That might be okay. And again, if I think this is too thick, and it might just be too thick, let's just go from 7 to 6. Might be a good look, right? Now, what I can do is once I've got this size, I can kill the text. So the text is gone. I can kill the text. I can put this in the middle where I want it. And I can also add another box behind it. I can make a copy of this thing. So copy and paste. So it's right on top of this other one, right? And what I want to do is make it slightly bigger, right? So instead of 6, I want to make it 7. And I want to move it up so that it's exactly in the same location as the other one. And I can see the location of both of them. So if I take this one away, this is the one that's 7. And this is the way that's one that's 6. This is 145 by 47. Let's move it to the exact location, 145 by 47. So we're going to position it exactly in the same spot. But instead of 7, let's make it 8. 45 by 47, so it's around. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the pixel size around it, we're going to make it black. So we're going to say the border is black. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this to one step further back. So I'm going to kind of take this one and put it to the back of the other one. There we go. So now we get a bit of a border like this. All right, so I'm kind of creating my border. Let's zoom out and see what it looks like. So it's kind of, that's where the border is going to be. I'm going to kind of group these two things together by clicking onto them. And I'm going to right click and group. And that creates a 2-object group, right? Now that I've got that, I'm going to kind of bring it to the middle with my guides. So that's approximately the middle of the actual screen. Now if I want to bring this down a little bit, I can do that. I think that might be good though. So that's the jackpot where it's going to be up here. It's going to hold up to 500,000 credits, right? So that's pretty good. And let's also zoom in here and add some text inside here on the top that kind of show jackpot, right? So there's going to be some letters in here that you know, kind of tell us what this thing is, right? So let's type, it won't be the red letters, but it'll have to be something like jackpot. This is where the modification takes place, where I go and do this kind of stuff, right? So I want to type jackpot. So jackpot. Okay. We'll use the same kind of letters for now. We will center this thing. There's the middle. And kind of bring it down. And I already see that there's a problem. Problem is, if I use the same size letters as what's in here, 26, I'm going to overrun the border, right? I can't fit both letters and this box here where my stuff's going to appear in here. So I got a couple choices, right? I could somehow expand this top part, right? Or if I don't expand the top part, I could make the letters smaller, which is probably the easier thing to do. So let's go into, instead of 26, we'll go to 24 and see what that looks like. Still not quite where I want it to be, and also it's going to be lost. First of all, let's change colors. So I'll make this, if I make it black, see what it looks like, jackpot. I could also give this thing a glow and all kinds of other stuff, like a, you know, example right now I can choose other things that I can do with it. I don't think a color dodge would be really cool. But you could add some special effects, like, again, some kind of glow or, you know, or something might be okay. But I'm trying to think what it would look like if I was to do that. So let's leave it like that for now. And I can add kind of a glow underneath it by adding another one of those, right? But I feel that it's going to be a little bit lost. And if I kind of scroll out, it looks like it would be. And I think I don't want to go smaller than that. So how do I fix it? So Stephen, how do I fix it? Right? I could make a white background here and kill this the color. I could do this piece, and I could keep the so just basically a white panel that goes here is what you're saying, right? I could do that, right? So it kind of, but you know what? I find that it's a little bit tight in here for everything I want to do. So I could cut the bottom piece out, right? So the bottom piece to give myself a little bit more room in the top and expand the top piece, which is probably what I want to go with it, right? So I don't need a lot of space, but I need some space. So let's try and do this thing. So again, I'm modifying this thing pretty heavily. So I'm going to go down here and scroll down. Let's just move this out of the way again. And here, I'll scroll right down to this piece here. So just select this piece. There we go. And this is the piece that I'm going to cut out on the bottom, but I'm not going to cut it all out. So let's just do this. I'm going to kind of say, take this again, go to the bottom, and then select like half of it, just to give me that extra amount, right? Kind of cut it out. And the reason why this didn't work, of course, is because I got to click onto it properly. And let's try it again. And that's not clicked on still, but that's okay. So I've got that I can trim. I want to preserve this box here for now, right? Because this is kind of a combined group of objects. I'm going to cut it out. And for now, I'm going to create a separate window where I can put it in. So I'm going to kind of put it in its own little window just to have it in there so I don't have to redo that, right? Go back. All right, now I want to trim the canvas, but before I do that, I want to pull this down. So I'll undo that. I want to pull this down a little bit so that the bottom is on the ground. So I got a bit of shape. And now I got a bit of space on the top. I got that extra 480. So how do I do that? Well, it's the same thing we did before, right? We're going to cut this piece and move it to the top and fill. So let me show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to take this piece off here, right? So I'm going to go, this time I'm going to do one of these. I'm going to kind of go here, hit the top, right? And I'm going to take this piece just to here, this top piece, right? So there it is. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this piece away, right? So cut. And if you notice, let's do that again. I want to cut the top piece off. Click on the thing so it's blue, so it's selected. Let's try it again. I want to just cut this piece from here, right? Again, there's different ways to do this. I want to make sure that we do it accurately enough so that when I cut this piece now, that I can move it up. All I'm going to do is expand this piece here, just the top piece, so that way I can preserve the design a little bit, as much as possible, without killing it, Stephen. Because if I kill it, then it's like, you know, I can just might as well kill this whole area again, like just kill this whole piece, right? But then we're going to make it so it's very bland. Our machine will be like totally bland afterwards, right? And I don't want to do that. I want to kind of keep my machine as nice as possible. So let's just cut this machine out. There we go. And now look at the top's cut off, right? And what I can do is I can paste, right? And now that I've got it pasted, this is a separate piece. Take a look, Fahim. So I can pull this up, right, to give me a little bit more space, right, in there. And now the challenge is how do I fill the other piece in there without losing that functionality in there. So again, there's sometimes, because of the silly background that I got in there, which is a nice background, I could do a color paint and fill, because it's a little bit off, right? See how it's off now? I could do that. I could expand it by just pulling it, like and skewing the whole thing. It would skew my whole image though, right? There's no way I can skew only part of it in this particular program, and keep the other ones stable. I can't do it that way. So let me just undo these changes for a second. I'll show you what I'm talking about. This is now, it's still one. So the other way I could do it is, like I said, but it'll expand both sides. If I do one of these and pull it from the top, like one of those, like this, then it makes it bigger, but it makes it bigger. So let me just go into the bottom, 4 by 375. So what I've done is expand it so it's slightly larger, and these are larger too. These spaces are larger as well. Yeah, I love when I'm called. All right, so that's what I could do. I could cut it down even more and expand it and change it, but I think that might be the most I can get out of it. All right, let's go back and grab that piece, this piece here, and let's see if I can fix that into the position again where I want to put it in. So that might be a little bit better than before. Might give me a little bit more room. See, there's a little bit more room now up top there, like Stephen was saying. I can probably put in a little bit of a white transparent background that'll fade it out, but not kill it. So let's do another piece there. And what we're going to do is on the background side, our background will be white, but instead of being 100% opaque, we'll make it slightly transparent. So we'll make it like maybe a 50 and 50. Here's our 50 and 50, and then we'll take the background here and we'll put in our back right to the edge, kind of like that. And we'll take it, we'll expand it so that it fills kind of the background like that. So it's a bit of a background. It kind of lightens this area but doesn't kill it. And then I can add in my own text again. So let's go back. Add text in there, jackpot. I can change the text size. Fits, and that's 24. And that fits pretty good. Just from that little expansion, right? Jackpot. All right. And I'm going to get a bit of a white in there so you can see it. It's not as stark. And when I go back out, it looks okay. I mean, I probably could use a little bit more headroom there, a little bit more margin. But for now, I think it's probably good. I have a space here for a button, and I have a space here for a button that I'm going to put in place. I don't have those yet, but I will, right? And one of them is going to be green, and the other one's going to be red, like kind of a power button or something like that. Okay, so that's one. And I need another couple of them. I need maybe one down here, right? That's kind of like player bet or whatever, and another one down here. But I'm having a problem fitting everything, all these things in. It's kind of really tough to do, right? I could chop this whole thing up and re-expand it like in pieces, move it around and all that kind of stuff. But I want to keep it within that 640 by 480 range. Okay, so what do? So first, I know this is the right size. So I'm going to kind of grab this, and I'm going to paste it, and move it down. So I got to decide where I want it. Like, do I want it here? Kind of takes the place of that effect. And if I put it here, I got to be able to put text somewhere in there so it shows what my player bet is or whatever. If this is where it's going to go, right? Or do I want to put it down here, right? And if I do, where am I going to put my player text? Because it's going to be really tight with the reels up here, right? So my thinking is it's probably going to be best if I put them like right near the edge of this thing here, right? But they don't have to be that big, but I need to put some text in there that shows player bet or player money, credits, let's say as an example, would be the thing to do. And again, I'd probably do the same thing with this background. Credits, player bet, and winnings, right? Like kind of those three things. I want to place these now because I don't want to have my slot machine look like, worry about this later, right? Again, I'm not sure if this is the right place to put this. The other thing to do is I can cut this whole thing out and move this thing, the reels up, and giving myself more space in the bottom. And maybe that might be the better thing to do, right? So take these reels, cut them out, and move them up, right? So that way, I have space on the bottom for this stuff. That might be the right thing to do. All right, so let's do that. So let's move this thing off. And right now, I'm going to save what I've got. I'm going to save it as a ping image here, just as I have, so they have multiple images layered in. Later on, we're going to get back to this. So I'm going to zoom in. And I want to cut these reels and this arrow and move it up, so to speak, just this part here. So how do I do that? So again, it'll be the same kind of idea. I'm going to move in here as close as possible. And again, I know it's like watching paint peel for those people that are here, but bear with me, guys. There is a method to my madness to do all this work. This is the work you need to do to make your slot machine. So I'm kind of doing some of it for you, right? Now you can use mine or you can make your own. At the end of the day, it's part of it. I'm going to cut this out. Good. I'm going to paste it back in. And now what I'm going to do is I can move these things, right? Oops. I can move this piece up, and then I will expand it a little bit. Now the reason why I'm doing this is because it's better than expanding, like we did before. And now I have to just clean it up after. All right, so let's just do, trying to give myself some room on the bottom there without killing my look and feel. That'd be right. Then we'll clean up the background to make it look consistent. That might be okay. Now the bottom piece, what I'm going to do is just to clean it up is I'm going to get a piece that looks like this and put it in here and then clean up my background and maybe just do it for the bottom piece. Give that the two-tone look, keep that two-tone look up here. All right, so let's just do that. So I'm going to get a piece that looks like this, right? I'll do that from the bottom. And we'll kind of make the background this gray background, which I'll get a sample of right here. And then I want to have no border, right? So the border is going to be none. I want to kind of put it in here right like that. Kind of go all the way to the bottom as much as possible. I'm going to have to really change this up a little bit. So it's likely to go right to the bottom. Let's take a look. That's not bad. It's not bad at all. All right, and then I'll click onto it and expand it so that it meets the other one. Oh yeah, but the reason why it's like that is because the transparency is 50. Let's make it 100, and now that's nicely in there, right? So it makes it so that there's this two-tone look to it down here too. But I want to kind of get it so that there's not this separation as much as possible. And you know what? Chances are we won't see it because I'm going to put stuff here, right? So it won't be as bad. Like right now we're seeing it because there is a bit of a separation here. But again, you know, we're trying to make it so that you can see that there's a panel that we're going to have down here. Okay, let's do that. So here's my panel, and here's this. Let's get all these pieces here. So let's lock the background for a second, and we'll lock this piece because we don't want that piece moving. And we'll lock this rectangle we just made, and we'll take these other pieces though. So and even this group that I've got in here, this one, we'll take this one and this one. We'll copy those and paste them. I'll move them down here, right, where I have, we'll move them down here, like I said, right, where they're going to go, and I'll make them move, kind of send them to front, so arrange, bring to front, right, there it is. And what I can probably do is get rid of the background rectangle, because I probably don't need it there. What I probably can do is change those letters from black to white in that particular area, right, so they look a little different. Let's take a look. So we're going to change the, so I'll do this thing, click away, click back, get rid of that rectangle. In fact, delete. That's not what I wanted. Thank God for, I meant, yeah, let's just press delete. Okay. And change this one to white. See how that looks. That's pretty good. All right, so that's the same sizing and everything else that I had with the other one. Just again, I'm trying to create a consistent look and feel. Maybe even move right down to the bottom here. So to give me that jackpot and everything else, I move this piece up, and now you can't see the separation as much because of my white. That hides my defect, so to speak, right? Again, it's all tricks for me, right? Instead of jackpot, it's going to be credits. So let's change this background and say credits. Right? So that's what it's going to be there. How many credits I have? I don't have a lot of credits right now. You can see it's 0, right? And let's copy and paste this piece and pull it over. So we're at the same level as the other one. And now on the right, it's right to there. Instead of saying credits, what's the height of that one? Sorry, the height of this one goes, so 305, and that's 306, slightly lower, right? Let's go to here and move this to 305 as well to make it exact. There we go. Exactly the right place. Okay, so 305 is my credits. Let's change this from credits to winnings. Right? So that's going to be pretty tight for winnings. May have to make that one level lower in terms of our space. So 22, and that didn't work. So let's go actually select that piece, and then go 22. Slightly different size. And maybe, you know what, since we made this 22, might as well make this 22, just keeps consistent in this window, because otherwise it's going to look slightly off. Okay, good. So winnings, credits. Let's expand this thing just so that, well, actually, let's leave it the same way. But what I want to do is expand it so that it's centered within this field of view. You know what? I messed things up, so let's undo. Leave it as is. That's good. Okay. So now I need another one in the middle with your bet, right? So I got credits and winnings, and then your bet has to be in the middle. Again, I can win 500,000 credits if I need to right now, or I can bet. That's how much money I can have. That's what can be my winnings. I can't go much higher than 500,000 credits the way I have it laid out here. But I need to have some kind of something in here like your bet. Maybe just bet. All right, so let's do that. So I'm going to grab this one and Control C, Control V, move it to the middle. Now it's going to be too big, so that's okay because we're going to shrink it down a little bit. And we're going to do that by double clicking and changing this to bet, right? And we're going to move this, the bet piece, right in the middle, which is going to guide us for everything else. There it is. That's the middle. That's the dead middle, right? And now I'm going to make sure that this is at 306. That's 305. We're going to move that to 306. What about this one? That's also 306. We're going to move that to 306. This is the Y position is 306. And this one, just to make sure this is right, this is at 334. And that's also 334. We're going to move that to the dead middle. There it is. That's the dead middle. And now I'm going to reduce the size from both ways. So now, if you notice, the size is the width is 101. We're going to cut this down to 80. Let's see how that looks. We're going to undo that. I meant that we'll unlink them and we'll make this back to 80. Okay, cool. Move this back to the middle. Still too big. Let's go into 60. So we don't want to do too much more than 60. Otherwise, it'll be really cramped in here. There we go. That's what the 60 looks like. And I've got some differentiation between the two. I want to move this one over just a tad here. That 60 might be a little bit too tight for this particular area. I don't know. We don't want to go too much smaller than this either, because if I look at the numbers, it means that's 100. Bet is like 100 points, like 100 points or 500. So anything more than that, maybe I can fit 1,000 in there and that's it. So I don't want to go too much smaller than this. So I think what I have to do is, because it's not exactly centered, I'm going to try and just marginalize it so that it looks like it's in the middle. How's that look, guys? So I'm laying this out right now, but this is this is what it's actually going to look like. So I'm going to save the slot machine so it has all this built in. So I don't have to use these labels anymore. The labels are never going to change, right? Why would I print out credits, bet, and winnings when I can use the UI to make it all happen, right? The UI should say all this stuff, not me doing it programmatically. I don't want to do that programmatically if I can avoid it, right? What do you think? All right, so let's just make sure it's at the same level. So this is at 306. That's at 306. So is this one. This one's at 334. And so, oh, this one's at 335. So this one's going to come up a bit. It looks a little bit differently. There we go. That's exactly even now. Okay, cool. So I've got everything here is looking good. I've got this jackpot and everything else. I don't think there's anything else I need in here. I'm going to save. First of all, I'm going to, kind of select all. And I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to flatten my selection. And then I'm going to save this thing. File save. Good. So that's saved. So that's all one. How about we do it the right way this time and unlock these layers. And select all. right click and flatten selection, and we're going to save. There we go. Now that's all one. So that's one big image. Okay, it looks like we're almost done, but we're not quite done, right? Oh, hey, what happened? Oh no, we don't want that. Undo, 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 undo. We want to undo that. Thank God for undo. Okay. Reason why I undid all that is because of when I flattened the image, it kind of went all to the background, which is not what I wanted. So if I go select all, and if I go flatten layers, right, into one, then this is good. One big layer. That's what I wanted, right? I go Control A, and I want to undo this. This is important to do properly, and these. Yeah. And now select all, and flatten selection. I should be able to flatten. Yeah, that's better. Ooh, I almost messed up that one. Okay, save. Good. Now it looks this way. So now it's permanent. Now it's not going to change. It's permanently in there. Okay. Next, we need a couple of buttons. We've got these buttons down here, and we have this example of a button. Let's save this thing so we don't lose it. File, save as. So this is rightly aligned. I'm going to change this to generic button. So generic button, that's what this thing is. And this generic button I'm going to save inside my SlotMachine assets. Save. And now let's see what the biggest I can get in here. So if I go type in here, so if I say max or bet max, bet, that's pretty good. Bet max. Okay, here's max. Like that's what I'm just testing it out so that way I can see what it looks like at max. Now, here's the question for you. If it was you, would you try to save this thing and put text in here on the buttons? Or would you, make them now? Might as well make them now, right? Why would I make text on my buttons? Like all my buttons should be pre-labeled and everything else for you, right? There shouldn't have to be anything, just images as opposed to, something that says, things here. And also, it's drawn out one time, so all I have is an image for the button, but there's no background. So there's no text in the middle. Now, if I want to put text in here, if I want to be careful and do it, I could. But here I'm laying it out perfectly. It's got the right, things here going on. It looks like it's one. So I'm going to file, save as. Let's create another button. We're going to call this the Bet Max button. So Bet Max button. Oof. Okay, let's change this now. So Bet Max, that's the red one. Let's say, we'll say Bet 100. So Bet 100, there we go, look at that one. We said we can do like 5, so Bet 1, 2, 10, or 1, 5, 1, 5, 10, right? 1, 5, 10, Bet Max, and thing, right? So let's do Bet 100. That's okay, I like that. It's a lot. It's a big bet. So file, save as. I don't think we can do 500. No room. File, save as, and we'll say we'll go do the bet 100, bet 100 button. We can do that, and we'll cut this down so that it says instead of bet 100, we'll say maybe 50 or 20 or 10 maybe. What do you say, Stephen? 10. 10. Bet 10. File, save as. So we're going to say bet 10 button. Okay, so bet 10, maybe like a 1, 10, and 100, something like that. All right, so then we'll choose this to 1. Bet 1. If you want to be cheap, you can bet 1. File, save as, and bet 1 button. So just making the buttons out here. It's Bet Max. Bet Max. So I've got those bet buttons, and let's get rid of this, and we'll also do a spin. So spin, and spin won't be red; it'll be green. So I'm going to kind of go down here and center this thing. Spin like that, and I want to change the background graphic. How do I do that? Well, there's a filter that I can put in where I can adjust the color, right? So I can color fill. That's kind of not what I want. I want to kind of change the colors, if you will. That's not really what I want there. It's a blend mode. I want to I want to do one of these. So maybe I can change the adjust color, hue saturation. And maybe what we can do is, let's do a preview. So I want to try and increase the hue a little bit and lower the saturation levels to make it a little bit darker. And the lightness, make it a little bit higher, maybe darker, maybe a dark green. And again, you can do this all within the editor so that you can, we're still using the same button. We're making this like, you know, this kind of a greener button that we can do. We're just using the tool to do it, to recolor it. You good with that? Are you laughing at me? What? It's boring? I'm sorry to bore you.
No, not boring.
I'm trying to show you how to do it so that way you know. So this is this one. Okay, so now it's a green button. Now we're saying spin, file, save as, and this is the spin button. This is our main button here, right? Spin button. All right, so let's do it kind of a dry run. So I'm going to kind of load up some of these buttons now. I'm going to go File, Open. I've got my spin button, but I want to grab my other ones. So desktop. And I'm going to go into my SlotMachine assets. And I'm going to order up all the rest of the buttons. I'm going to get just all these ones in here to there. Open. There they all are. This untitled one I don't need anymore, so I get rid of that. Don't save. And I've got these buttons here, right? So now what I want to do is I want to bring them into the machine. So here's this one. It's a copy. And I'm just going to zoom down here and paste. Oh, what happened? Go back. Spin button. So Control A for copy everything because it's an image. Copy. And go back here and paste. There's the spin button. Let's get rid of this thing for a second. And as you can see, right, we have, this is what the spin button is going to look like. And same thing with bet 100. So that's bet 100 somewhere. Don't know where that's going to be yet. And bet 10. So here's bet 10. Just placing them randomly right now. I'm going to fix this in a second. And bet 1. I'm not going to put them in the scene, though, permanently. I'm just using them for sizing. So this just to see where it's going to look, right? So this is what the game is going to start. We're starting to see what our game is going to look like. And then bet max. And then we're going to reorder everything. And we're going to record these things so we don't have to do that in the game. All right, so there's bet max. That's what it's going to look like. Bet max, spin, bet 1, bet 10, bet 100, bet max. Okay. All right. So how do I order these things? Any idea? What would you do if you were going to make this exactly even, spacing and everything else? What would you do? Any ideas? So start to the right, and then
spin, make it move to the right.
Like right to the right. I could. I want to give it a little bit of margin though, right? And I want to equalize everything. So how do I do that? Well, the good thing to do is to measure what this size is approximately. So there's some ways of doing this. I'm going to go back in here, and I'm going to send a measure by creating a box that I'm going to get rid of later. So I'm going to grab a rectangle tool, and we're going to make it a flat black, so that way it's just for our tests. With no border, and I'm going to make it so that the rectangle tool that I use for edges and everything else, we're going to make it so that it's a hard line. So let's just do that. So I'm going to kind of measure from this piece as close as possible, just the size of it. So we're all the way to there. And now what I want to do is I want to make it so that it's almost perfect as much as possible here. And bring it down to the bottom. It's a bit of an overlay. That's what I'm doing, right? So my overlay tells me right? My overlay tells me it's around, width is 336, height is 68, right? So with a bit of calculation, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 objects with 336 pixels. How do I divide 336 into 5 equal spaces, right? Well, we need to calculate it to do that, right? Because I'm not going to take a chance. I'm going to go to my calculator, and let's bring this up. So we get approximately the right size for everyone. So calculator, so 336, and then we're going to divide that by 5, roughly 67.2 each. Let's say 67 plus a bit of, I'll give the extras to the margins. So about 67 a piece. That's how much space I have for each piece, right? That means that if I add, if I have each one is 67, and these things are 60, each one of my objects is 60 roughly, right? That means I have 7, let's say 6. So I have 66 is what I'll make them, so 67, and I'll give the padding to the sides, right? That's what I'll do. So 66 I have for allocation purposes, right? So that means for me to allocate these properly, right, is I've got to start off at the left, like you suggested, or the right. Let's just group these together for a second. Group. I don't know why I didn't do that before, but that's okay. Group. And group. All right, so well, what happened? Larg. Let's make that weird sound. All right, let us. Sorry, I meant to get this rectangle and kill it. I don't know how what that happened there. Dun, dun, dun. Group. Dun, dun, dun. Group. I'm working furiously to try and give you your assets, or at least some of them, so you can start thinking about building your stuff out, right? All right, so again, 66 each. There's 60, so that means I'm going to have 3 on one side, 3 on the other side. That's what I'm going to have. So 3 margin. So it's going to come from the right 3, but I have 67, right? Because remember, what I said was, if I have, I think it was 336. 336 divided by 5, right? So 336 is where what I have a total margin of. And if I take 336 and then divide that by 66, that's what I'm going to give all of them. I have about 5, and there's about 0.0909 each on the other side. So how do I do that? So I say, let's try this out. So I'm going to say 66 then times 5. I'm going to have about 330, so I've got 6, which means 3 additional on the left and 3 additional on the right in terms of total margin. So now I have 3 pixels for the left for my first object, plus an additional 3, so it's 6 pixels away from the side. That's the first one. So I'm going to start off like this. Now, we're not going to just do this randomly. Oops. We're not going to do this randomly. We're going to make it so that that's where it's going to abut. And we're going to do this. We're going to leave this. So this is the first place, and I'm going to move this 6 pixels. So we notice my x coordinate is 17 plus 6. That's my first position. 17 and 6 is 23. That's my first position. I did. 3 plus 3. 3 for the 3 for the 66 plus 3 for the original ones that was lost. Now I need to add 3 for this one and 3 for this one, so it's 6 different. So this one has to move to what it's. Let me abut this one over. That's probably the closest I'm going to get. So I need to move that over approximately 6. So from 82, I got to move this over approximately to 88. That's the next piece. And the same thing goes with this one. This one goes over here like this. So why is this? Is this not grouped? Okay, whatever. Now it's grouped. So now this is, sorry, 1, 2. That's the closest it's going to get. So now this is going to move over 6 from approximately 147. So that's 153. You'll understand when I get this in the pattern later on when I'm done. So it looks identical. Look how those look so nice now. Look how they're equal, right? Same thing goes with this. And And we'll move this over to the side here. It's hard to say with this one. So it's 6 more, so it's 218. Right? And now this one's the final one. And you know what? I don't care if there's a bigger space because it's a spin button. So I want it over from this side. Oh yeah, well, we'll adjust the top for sure, but let's go back to this one for a second. I'm worried about the horizontal right now. So sorry, it's 212, so it's 218. And this one here is this one and this one. Not sure why they didn't become glued in. Okay. And I care about this one starting from this side now, to be fair, and coming this way 6. So this is 295, so let's be about 289 approximately. There you go. There she is. All right, so then we have a bit of a separation. So we see that there's a bit of margin here and here, and there's a bit of separation from our bet buttons and our spin buttons, right? Our spin buttons here. This is good. I like this, right? Now, let's do the top. So I figure that the top is going to be the y coordinate is 386 right now, right? So let's make sure that's 386 for all. That's got to come down. It looks like 386. So come up. There we go. Happy with that? 386. They're all 386 now. So okay. So now we have our coordinates. Now it would be dumb for us to lose all this information, right? So I want to place this in exactly the right position, right? Which makes sense to me. So first of all, let's check a couple things. Let's check the background, because we're using the background as a reference. And the background is 0, 0. That's where the background is. This is good, right? So we're going to kick off a little bit of an Excel sheet for here, right? So I'm going to go into Excel. And I want to kind of, when we pull this up, we're going to make a blank worksheet, right? And we're going to just make it so that it's viewable for you guys. So I'm going to kind of select all. Right? And what we're going to do is we're going to make a size that's 20, so I can see the size there. There we go. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put a, what the description is of the item. So for example, the button, right? So we'll say the object, right? My object, and then on the side here is kind of the width and height, if I'm going to have something different there. So here's my width, here's my height. Here's my X, and here's my Y coordinate. And I need to have all this because it'd be stupid for me not to record it. I might as well, right? I might as well record all this information here. And we're gonna just create a little bit of a table. You'll see in a second what we do. And we'll fix this piece up in a second too. Actually, we'll make it so that everything is even. Make it so that it's about this wide. Okay, good. And let's just be a little fancy with our table because I'm just the kind of guy that I am, to make it nice, because we want to use this again, right? So there it is. So our object here is the, if I go back to what it is, the actual image that I'm playing with, is the bet1 button. So that's what we're going to call it. So bet1 button, right? So now if it's not large enough, I'm just going to make it so it expands. So we get the bet1 button, we got the bet, is it bet 10? We got bet 10 button. We got the bet 100 button. We've got the bet max button. And we've got our spin button. Spin button. That's what the actual thing is called, right? So all I'm doing is I'm just keeping track of what all these things are, right? So that way, when I'm just gonna make this a little larger for you guys to see. So then when I go into my width and my height, right, I can specify what they're, and I know they're 60 by 60 each because that's all we're doing with right now is buttons. So they're 60 by 60, and we'll just do these, type it really quickly, and do the same thing for the side here. And we'll just make it so that they're even. So that's been 60 by 60. Now here's where we get interesting. We can actually remark or record all the positions ahead of time, right, to save us trouble. So now let's go in here, click onto this, and it tells me that's 23 by 386. So we're going to put 23 386, right? For my bet1 button. This way, when it comes down to code, I'm going to put them in the exact positions. Why would I do it any other way? They're going to appear in the exact position I want it to be. And we're going to add to this because we also need to do the things. Yeah.
How would you write this into an XML file?
I could do that in XML. I could. It's not difficult. I mean, I would just use XHR. It's the same stuff that I would use with a JavaScript or jQuery. I could read from a file, but it's an extra file read, right? I could use it so that it's a manifest. It's part of my manifest, so it knows where it is. I could add it into my buttons, and I will as a sprite sheet, which is what I'm probably going to do. I'm going to make a sprite sheet, and from my sprite sheet, I'm going to load it into my manifest eventually. But what's going to happen is I still need to know these positions, the exact positions, where they're actually going to appear on the screen, right? So for now, I'm just doing it by hand. We can certainly use some kind of other mechanism later on. All right, so right now it's 88 by 386, so this is 88. So the X position is the one that's changing. This is 153. There's a method to my madness. Trust me, I've done this a bunch of times. So 218. And the last one is, for my spin button, is 289. So this is where it is, right? So I zoom in this, do this. This is kind of zoom in here. Take this value, copy it, and paste it in all those places because they're the same. All right, let's save this Excel sheet because we're going to refer back to this next time we get together, right? And you're looking at me going like, don't know what you're doing. I'm recording the positions. We can do it next time, right? So in my slot machine assets, we're going to call this assets, asset info. That's what this is. That's what this thing is, and save so we can have access to this later on. Okay, almost done for the day, right? We still got a couple of the things we need to take care of, and we need to do this because I need to figure out a square size for my assets for my symbols. We don't even have those yet, right? That's another thing we need to get, right? We got our background, and if I go back to the actual stuff that we're doing. So this is this piece. I can get rid of these now because this is not, these are not going to be part of my design. They're separate, right? I just use them for placement. Okay, so we need this, but I need a symbol here, and the way I do this is, this is what I recommend you do, is kind of make it, again, a square, right? And we'll make this one, instead of white, we'll make it so that it's got, it's black, but it's got 50% transparency, so it's got a bit of transparency there. And I want to make it so that it's approximately equal within the borders. That one's good. And that right now, this size of this object is, the width and the height is different. Now this is where I recommend to make the width and the height square, right? Because when you get your symbol, right, you're going to store these things as a symbol or whatever, right? You want these things to appear squarely in this box here, right? So let's add a bit of, just from a sizing perspective, we're gonna add a border, right? So we're gonna kind of make a border of black, right? So here's our border that's black, and instead of it being a solid border, right, I want to kind of make some kind of dashed border happen for myself, right? So right now, if you notice, it's I can go to basic. Let's go back here. Here's my dash border, a basic dash. Let's say a dotted. We'll use a dotted border. There it is. And I can get rid of the background color here. But before I do that, I know my width is 69 and my height is 55. So what do I need to do? My height needs to be 69, right? So that way, it's a square, right? So that's the size. So my images will all be squares, at least at the beginning, right? So I can start finding out where they're going to appear. So this is where they're going to appear in the slot machine. So Lilia, for when you just came in, we're making a slot machine for assignment 2. And all I'm doing is with these videos, I've kind of, hopefully they'll work, I've kind of recorded them so that way it shows you I'm building up the UI. And I'm going to give you the assets that I have right now. Okay, so cool. Before we finish for the day. So I'm going to kind of pull this up. This is kind of neat too, where it kind of shows me this is 69 by 69. And I need to do the same centering trick I did before. So let's pull this off on the side for a second. And I want to do the same centering trick. I want to measure this thing here and put this in the dead center, right? That's what I need to do. So we're going to find our tile information before we leave for the day. All right, so again, I'm going to kind of measure from the top, measure all the way to the bottom, right? And we'll use this trick here again, just so that way we're kind of tied in there, so it's as exact as we can make it. To me, that looks about right. Let's see the bottom. And we're going to go to the size of the side, just to kind of make it so that it fills in this whole area. And we're using this just as measurement only. That's a little bit off on the top. Let's go a little bit higher. That's probably where it's going to be. Okay, so that's probably the size of the object, right? And to me, it looks like that our height, which what we really care about, is 147. Arg, 147. So it's either going to be, just telling you right now, 146, right? Because 147 is off, or 148. One of those two. So I think I want to make it 148. So from a centering perspective, let's see how that works. Let's make it 148. So 148. There's no difference. So if I make it 148, and if my actual object is 69, let's see if I can make it 70. Maybe 69 is not the right thing. So here's, I'm layering this on top. So here's 100. So 140. What do we say? 148 and 69. This is 69. This object, right? So let's see if I can subtract this. So here we go. So this one? So 147 you're talking about, yeah?
Yeah. 147 divided by 2 is 73.5.
Hold on. 147 divided by 2, right? 73.5, yeah? But that doesn't make sense, because then I would want a 74.1 on the top and 74 on the bottom, no? Oh, you're talking about the middle pivot will be right in the middle. Yeah, I guess I could. I could put 73 on the top, 73 on the bottom, and have that center point, right? So I'd make this instead of 148. Did I say 148? Divided by 2. That's 148. 74. So what would be 147 is better, is what you said. So let's go back to 147. Just follow Stephen's advice, Tom, right? And then the same thing, 69. There's 69 is an odd number. So if we look at this, right? If I subtract 147 minus 69, I've got 78. So I need 74 on the top, or sorry, divided by 2. So roughly 39 on the top and 39 on the bottom. Well, so 39 on the top is what I really care about. Who cares bottom? So I'm going to grab this piece. So I'm going to move this, the 39 down, basically. And then we'll get our approximate start location, which will be very close to the start of our, there it is, very close to the start. So right now that looks like at the y coordinate is 153, okay, plus 153 plus 100, sorry, is roughly 192. So that should be where it is. So this is 192. Let's try this and see if it's correct from the top. 192. That's it. So 192 is where it's going to start. So all these ones, these tiles, I don't care about this one, but all these tiles are going to be 69 by 69, right? So we're going to go back to the Excel sheet, right? So it's going to be these are the reels. Any reel, right, is going to be 69 by 69. Right? That's if you want to talk about, or not the reel, but the actual tiles. That's the tiles. The reel is actually bigger, but I don't care. 69 by 69. We may care later though. Okay, and then the height. The starting height and the x and y coordinates is what I need for the first one. So tile 1, and I don't know what that tile is going to be. You can come in. How you doing? Tile 1 is at 74 and 192. So we'll put that in, 74 and 192. I need to make tile 2 and tile 3 because they're going to be slightly differently positioned. So, and then I'll save this stuff up. So let's do this. I know that 192 is going to be the same. Now all I care about is the positioning of the actual thing here. So here's the first one. So let's move that over. So let's lock it. There. So that one is at 152. Now they're very specific, and I'll see if there's a pattern. It might not be. Okay, just let you know. 152. Sometimes just the separation between concerns here that I got, right? Okay, and then this one. That's that, and that is at 230. So I'm not sure if there's a pattern that we can exploit with a loop, right? That would be nice. The difference between 230, 152, and 74, is there a thing? So I can say, well, take this and minus this, that's 78, and take this and minus this. Come on, that's good. That's good. And take this, and this one is take this and minus this. That's a really awesome thing if they're all the same. So that means that they're all 78 separate, which means I can loop through and add 78x across to kind of place them. That's awesome. That's really good. So really nicely positioned for all these ones. So that's tile 1, number 2, number 3. I'm going to save this. So when we come down to it, when I go back to my fireworks, I don't need this anymore. This is just a placeholder. Okay, so now we've got everything we need to start off with a little bit of description of what we have to do. I'm going to save this, file save, right? And I don't need anything else. I'm not going to save these other ones because they're already saved. So I'm going to file and quit fireworks. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to quit Excel as well. And let's update everything for you guys so you have it all. All right, so first things first, I'm going to take my assets, which is my slot machine assets here, and I'm going to copy this whole thing and go to the Windows side of the house, right? And I'm going to go here and paste, because I think that's important for me to do. There it is. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this up here, go back to here, oops, and I'm going to this is good. Bring this one up and this one up here. I'll make sure that I'm in my Solution Explorer here and I'm not debugging. In my assets, I've got my images, which I'm going to add in there. And I'm going to add in these assets in here by dragging all these things, including my JPEG and my background, just as a basic, and drag this all into the assets folder. And that's what I wanted to do. So now, when I go into Team Explorer, I go to Changes, make sure there's no on-track files, and I'll say Added Slot Machine Assets. Now I'm going to go Commit, and I'm going to go Home, and unsync commits and sync. And now you should have all those assets, all that work I just did, you have them all up online in the slot machine demo. That's it for this week. I'm not going to see you guys, not next week, but the week after, and then we'll continue the slot machine demo where we take our assets and I'll add some other ones, like the fruits and all that other stuff, and we'll build a slot machine. Now again, I encourage you highly to do this on your own, right, to learn how it's done, and also so that you can make your own style of slot machine and not kind of make this kind of a cheesy one that I'm putting together, right? Which is just kind of like, I'm just doing it in the hours that we're together. And look how long it's taking. That's just me modifying what we have, right? What was that? It's getting better, but there's still work to be done. Anyways, otherwise, enjoy your Thanksgiving, and we'll see you back when we get back, okay? Thanks a lot, guys.